All right, let's jump right into this explainer. We're going to explore a completely fascinating shift in how we consume the everyday stuff around us. You know, for generations, the ultimate goal was just ownership. You wanted a product, you bought it, you had to maintain it, and then eventually you threw it away. But we're actually standing right at the edge of this massive economic transition, driven by just incredible tech advances and, let's face it, the urgent reality of our planet's finite resources. We're moving away from hoarding physical assets. Instead, we're shifting to this whole new model where we simply rent the outcomes those objects provide. It's a huge leap from a world of clunky, depreciating physical assets to a world of completely seamless, continuous services.
Okay, I want you to ask yourself a surprisingly profound question. Why do we even buy light bulbs anymore? I mean, think about the sheer physical annoyance of the current system. You've got to go to the store, buy this fragile glass thing, find a safe place to store it, drag out a stepladder when the old one inevitably pops, and then figure out how to safely trash a weird mix of glass, metal, and sometimes even hazardous chemicals. The crazy thing is, you don't actually want the physical object. You just want your room to not be dark. Imagine a world where you literally never have to touch that physical hardware ever again. Sounds like sci-fi, right? Well, for some of the biggest organizations on Earth, this is exactly how they operate today.
Let's look at the traditional headache of owning a bulb from a massive commercial perspective. The hidden costs are absolutely staggering. An organization has to dump heavy capital into buying thousands of fixtures up front, then they have to warehouse spare parts, deal with chaotic supply chain delays, and pay a full-time maintenance crew just to walk around swapping out dead assets. It's so wildly inefficient. Now contrast that with the completely seamless experience of renting the light itself. In this new model, you aren't buying the hardware. You are totally separated from the physical asset. You're just purchasing the illumination. The infrastructure, that becomes someone else's problem to manage, repair, and replace, while you just get to enjoy the interrupted light.
To really wrap our heads around the scale of this, paint a mental picture for a second. Imagine the San Francisco Bay Bridge glowing brilliant white against the night sky, powered by 25,000 custom LEDs. Or picture the endlessly busy terminals of Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam, spanning millions of square feet with hundreds of thousands of individual lights. These aren't just pretty architectural sites. They are incredibly high-stakes logistical beasts, where a single dark hallway is a massive safety hazard. And here is the kicker. They use this exact rental model. Thanks to a groundbreaking partnership with Philips, Schiphol Airport and the city of San Francisco do not buy those millions of bulbs. They literally just buy the light.
And this brings us to a really critical concept that's reshaping global industries: everything as a service, or XaaS. Think about how we completely ditched buying plastic DVDs to just stream Netflix, right? We stopped owning the medium and started renting the experience. While Philips Light as a Service model does the exact same thing, but for heavy physical infrastructure. Philips actually retains total ownership of all the physical materials, every single bulb, every fixture, every copper wire. The client strictly pays for the service those materials provide. It's an absolute game changer, flipping facility infrastructure from a giant upfront capital expense into a highly flexible, manageable utility.
Now, the pricing model here is where it gets really interesting. You're probably wondering, how do you even bill a massive international airport for something as intangible as light? Well, get this. Clients are literally billed per lumen of light delivered. A lumen is just the scientific measure of visible light coming from a source. By breaking these massive, multi-million-dollar commercial contracts down to this hyper-granular metric, Philips has managed to turn a physical piece of glass and metal into a pure, measurable utility. You aren't paying for the time a bulb is plugged into the wall. You only pay for the exact amount of visible light you consume. That's it.
The perks of this setup are massive and honestly immediate. By giving up ownership, clients have zero maintenance stress. Zero. No inventory to manage, no climate-controlled security rooms needed to guard expensive replacement stock. And organizations are seeing major cost savings because they aren't holding millions of dollars in depreciating assets on their books anymore. But the biggest win? It lets massive organizations completely offload their operational risk. I mean, Schiphol Airport's main job is flying planes safely and on time, not managing light fixtures, right? This model lets them focus entirely on their core business. But this does raise a huge logistical question. How in the world does a company like Philips manage millions of rented bulbs across the globe without it turning into total chaos?
Let's move to part 1 of our tech deep dive, tech powering the shift, zooming out to Industry 4.0. So, to make a global light-as-a-service operation work without completely falling apart, you need a massive, hyper-responsive nervous system. And that's exactly where the Internet of Things, or IoT, steps in.
These aren't your grandfather's light fixtures. They are packed with tiny, incredibly powerful sensors monitoring every single asset in real time. They don't just know if the light is on or off. They're tracking temperature swings, ambient natural sunlight coming through the windows, physical motion in the room, and precise power flow. Because of this constant stream of data, Philips actually knows when a specific bulb is getting weird voltage spikes and is about to burn out, before it actually happens. This means they can do pinpoint predictive maintenance and the client never experiences a single second in the dark.
And this kind of connectivity is definitely not just restricted to light bulbs. IoT is spreading like wildfire, expanding into autonomous cars, smart homes, entire smart cities, global commerce, and massive industrial complexes. The exact same sensor tech that tracks a single lumen of light in a Dutch airport terminal is right now being used to track refrigerated shipping containers crossing the Pacific Ocean. It's monitoring soil moisture for farmers and dynamically optimizing power across entire national energy grids. Literally everything is getting connected, chatting about its status in real time.
But here's the thing, raw data alone doesn't really do much. Having millions of sensors screaming temperature readings at you every second of the day just creates a chaotic avalanche of numbers. It's when you feed that massive ocean of big data into advanced analytics and AI that the magic happens. It goes from just being numbers to being actionable insight. For example, the AI can look at years of data from Schiphol Airport and realize, hey, this specific terminal is always blasted with natural sunlight on Tuesday mornings, so it automatically dims the fixtures to save energy. This whole tech stack lets companies anticipate failures, perfectly align their resources, and just continuously innovate.
All right, moving on to Section 2, the circular economy effect, redefining waste.
This tech stack we just talked about, it fundamentally changes our entire relationship with global waste. We are finally moving away from the incredibly destructive linear economy. For over 2 centuries, we've basically run on a take, make, waste system. We take resources from the earth, make a product meant for one person to own, and when it breaks or gets old, we just toss it in a landfill. It's environmentally devastating and honestly just a terrible use of resources. But the digitally empowered circular economy flips the script entirely. It's driven by data and based on services. Because products are delivered as a service, the manufacturer keeps ownership. So instead of discarding things at their end of life, real-time data ensures these vital resources are kept in continuous loops, used to their absolute maximum potential.
So how do those continuous loops actually play out in the real world? It comes down to 4 vital steps: repair, remanufacture, repurpose, and recycle. But the real genius here isn't just the recycling part, it's the underlying business incentive. In the old linear model, a company made a profit when your light bulb shattered because it forced you to go buy another one. It literally incentivized planned obsolescence. But now, because Philips still owns the bulb, a broken bulb is a direct hit to their bottom line. Suddenly, they are highly incentivized to build incredibly durable, long-lasting stuff. And when a product finally does reach the end of the road, Philips can efficiently repair it, remanufacture it into something new, repurpose the valuable internal guts, or fully recycle the raw materials. It's brilliant. Profitability is finally perfectly aligned with sustainability. At the end of the day, it all boils down to this really powerful realization: a significant saving of cost and reduction of waste. Clients can focus on their core business. I mean, this is the holy grail of modern business. It's the ultimate win-win. We protect our planet's resources because materials are constantly cycled instead of being mined and dumped. Manufacturers lock in long-term, predictable service contracts. And the enterprise clients? They save millions while completely dodging the operational nightmare of managing physical assets.
Which brings us to part 3, the future of smart services, beyond the bulb.
It's crucial to realize that light as a service is really just one brilliant case study in a much larger global shift towards smart resource management. Take the Edge building in Amsterdam. It is widely hailed as one of the smartest, most connected office buildings ever built. It takes this everything-as-a-service idea and just pushes it to the absolute limit. It uses over 28,000 individual sensors to dynamically manage the space based on where human beings actually are at any given moment. So, if the AI realizes a specific wing is totally empty on a Friday afternoon, it completely shuts down the heating, the lights, the power routing to that specific area. By managing everything with such ruthless, automated efficiency, this massive commercial space actually generates more electricity than it consumes. No way, right? But it's absolutely true.
So that wraps up our explainer today, but I want to leave you with one final, kind of provocative thought. If you no longer need to own your light, if the data, the sensors, and the AI exist to perfectly deliver illumination, climate control, and infrastructure exactly when you need it and not a second longer, what else are you ready to stop owning? As the circular economy really takes off and everything as a service scales up, the way we interact with the physical world is going to completely transform. So take a look at the heavy, expensive objects sitting around you today and ask yourself, will I be renting this tomorrow?